Welcome to Justice, a lawyer's hangout, where we dissect legal issues and educate the public on the law. I am Chizaram Lillian Oyike, and with me here today are my colleagues, Juliet Odo Esquire and Miss Muniras Adama Esquire. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. On today's episode, we'll be discussing sexual harassment in the workplace, the legal and the institutional gap. Now, sexual harassment corrodes dignity, destroys careers, and undermines organizational productivity. Today, we will define the legal landscape and unpack remedies available to victims and practical steps that employers and employees can take. Now, let's dive into it. Now, let's begin with the basics, Miss Juliet. Thank you for being here once again.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Now, under the Nigerian law, what exactly qualifies as sexual harassment in the workplace? Now, for instance, we know the Violence Against Persons Act and Prohibitions Act 2015 defines sexual harassment to include unwelcome sexual advances. Now, requests for sexual favors and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that creates a hostile work environment. Now, Ms. Juliet, how do we differentiate between the law, what the law recognizes as sexual harassment, and what might simply be workplace conflict or misconduct?
Thank you very much. Like you've said,
Yes.
Sexual harassment is an unwanted advances made to someone in a workplace.
Right.
It could be vice versa.
Right.
You know, when we talk about sexual harassment, people think it's just about the women. Even the men could be harassed. It's just that we have more women
that go through these things,
that go through sexual harassment. So it's an unwanted advancement towards someone for sexual favors. It could be impliedly or expressly. It could be by way of visual contact. You look at someone in a sexual manner because everyone is matured. By the time you start making sexual advancements to someone, the person naturally understands where you're heading to. So sexual harassment in the workplace could be trying to offer someone a favor in a subtle way and then asking for sexual how do I put it now?
You're asking for something in return.
Something in return. And this time around, that's what we say, in cash or in kind.
Yes.
So this time around, you're asking for it in kind. It's totally different from when you're working in an environment and maybe that place is toxic for you. They're two different things. However, sexual harassment could also metamorphose into an uncomfortable work environment.
It can metamorphose into a toxic environment.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Muna. I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
Oh, she's so well good. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Miss Muna, let's talk about the laws that address this issue. Now, Nigeria does have some provisions, like I mentioned before. We have the VAP Act and the labor law too, that guides employee and employer's relationship. Now, and some institutional policies within universities and private companies, Now, but many people have argued that laws don't go far. Now, Ms. Mona, what would you say the current legal framework provides, if the current legal framework provides protection and remedies for victims of sexual harassment in the workplace?
Of course, like the VEP law you said earlier, that's Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015. That's one of the major legal framework that's been put in place by the system to actually tackle harassment of all types for both genders, we have, of course, the Constitution. Because everyone is entitled to their right to dignity. You can't take it away from them, whether you like it or not. We have the labor law that also deals with sexual harassment or harassment of whatsoever in the workplace. And I like to talk about this in a more general level than just your workplace. Sexual harassment or harassment. And I like
general.
Yes, and I do not like to generalize it to just female, both male and female, as long as the actions are making you uncomfortable as at that moment from another person. It means that this law covers you. The VEP Act, like I said earlier, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015. We have the Labor Act also.
Of course,
it also
Labor Act,
provides
yes.
that. Then we have, most importantly, the one that even melts out the amount of punishment. That's the criminal code,
Right.
and for the southern part, and the penal code for
northern
the
part.
northern part. And yes, we have NGOs also, organizations. This framework brought about parastatals and organizations, e.g., we have the NAPTIP.
Laws, case of harassments are still widespread. And why do you think that is? And is it because these institutions are weak, or is it just simply victims don't trust the system? Because sometimes people don't really like to report these crimes because they believe that the system is weak. Or could it be cultural silence, where someone tells a lady, "Oh, don't say this. If you say this, people might see you this way." Now, I ask, like, why do people, why is the case of sexual harassment in widespread as of today?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So I would say that we still have widespread cases of sexual harassment because there's a gap in the enforcement of bringing people to book when there's a report of sexual harassment. Our law enforcement agencies, our institutions, including the employers. Some employers are not even aware that they owe the employee a duty of care.
Yes.
To investigate any report of sexual harassment. So, in a nutshell, Nigeria has a widespread case of sexual harassment because there's no assurance that the victim will not be victimized. It could be especially in the workplace, which is our main point.
Yes.
Right? A victim may be discouraged from reporting a case of sexual harassment because he or she is afraid of being demoted,
or even losing their jobs.
Yes. Or even delayed promotion.
Or even, true.
But if we have policies put in place, investigations go on, there are procedures for reporting these things, and we assure the victims that they would be protected. The gap won't be there. So people perceive sexual harassment now as a normal thing. Just try to manage it. That's why we still have a widespread of sexual harassment. Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that. Now, Ms. Munira, let's before we go on a short break.
Okay.
Now let's turn to the employers. Legally speaking, employers have a duty of care, like we mentioned before, to ensure a safe workplace. Now, what responsibilities do organizations have to prevent and respond to sexual harassment? And what are the legal or reputational risks if they fail to act?
All right, thank you, Chizaram. Employers and organizations have the legal and moral duty to create a safe workplace in the first instance. Let's start from there. They have the moral duty to make sure that everyone they employ into the organization's offices, even both private and government or otherwise, to create a very, very safe workplace. Now, how do you do this? You can bring in policies in place, right? There must be a written document or policy to protect your employees.
Right.
That's a very good step. Most companies in UK is very compulsory. That's part of the foundation of opening any company is for you to have that workplace sexual harassment clause there, right? And of course, to take swift action, like she said earlier, they don't investigate, right? To take swift action in case of report, to actually not judge or assume, just actually make the investigation and know what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. And then the HR also, as part of one of the core duties, is for the HR to be able to translate, investigate, and understand report
So, but let's say, for instance, in a work environment where it is the main person in question, like the CEO of the company, who is doing, like you mentioned, the management of the company should be the ones to put these laws in place. Now, if the management of the company, or maybe the person heading the company, is the person causing these sexual harassments to his employees, now how do people go around that?
This question will easily be solved if there was the sexual harassment clause in the first place, right?
Right.
If otherwise, especially in Nigeria, I doubt if that particular law is being implemented. But however, you have other channels you can report. Like I said earlier, when you asked me about the framework, right? You have other channels you can report to, like the NAPTIP I said about, like the police,
Right.
like the court,
Right.
like NGOs, like LJE, where you can report a violation.
Right.
So the thing is, no matter how top you are, they are still the toppest top. If there's anything like that, right? So that's just.
I don't know if you have anything to say to that, Ms. Julia.
Okay. In cases where you have the perpetrator
Yes.
as the CEO.
Yes.
So now that's why the policy against sexual harassment shouldn't just be by word of mouth.
Right.
Every organization should make sure these things are documented
and implemented,
clearly stated. You have to define sexual harassment, the meaning in your work code documents.
Right.
You have to spell out the procedure for reporting it, right? And you have to assure the victim that there's going to be confidentiality, because when you're investigating a high-profile perpetrator, let's put it this way,
right.
the CEO, you have to assure the victim, that her dignity, her safety, because sometimes it could really get dirty and you find the victim's life at stake. So it's all about the policy documents, the work code, rules and regulations. Some organizations don't have this.
And I feel like that's why most companies still face lawsuits, and staff protests, or even loss of reputation over handling such cases.
Sexual harassment. And they could be liable to damages. The thing is, talking about the landmark case, VGK Maduka and Microsoft. Microsoft company was slammed a huge damage because they had that duty of care. The court held them liable, vicariously liable for the actions of the CEO. So in that landmark case, it was even the CEO who was the perpetrator.
Right.
He was sexually harassing his employee. His employee, let me put it that way. And there were several reports, and the company didn't take them serious until she was bold enough to take it up to court.
Right.
Right? So employers should also be aware that they could be held vicariously liable for any sexual harassment complaints against the company.
Yeah, and I would also want to add that victims should speak up.
Yes.
I believe we have a lot of people who just tend to keep quiet because they believe, oh, what if I say something and I lose this job? What if like you mentioned before, what if I say something and I get demoted? So I totally agree with you on that. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Camera rolling. Light set. Sound check. And action.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's program, a program where we get to talk about the daily affairs of legal issues with intent to educate.
This is the perfect space to create professional quality videos, recording news, podcasts, and all media content. With top-of-the-line cameras, studio lighting, soundproof spaces, we provide everything you need for a seamless shoot. Our fully equipped studio ensures high-quality production every time. Enjoy a comfortable, air-conditioned environment with professional-grade gear and expert support. Contact us now or visit our Abuja location to reserve your spot.
Welcome back to Justice. Still on the topic, sexual harassment. Now, before we went on the break, we addressed some certain areas. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Julia. So sorry, back to you again. Let's talk about access to justice. Now, when harassment occurs, where can victims realistically turn to for redress?
Okay, so when you're talking about victims seeking redress, it depends on where this harassment occurred.
Right.
And since our main point is about your workplace, for companies who have a functional HR department, just like I said before we went on a break,
right,
there's supposed to be a procedure known to everyone. So victims are advised to go to the HR, report any case of sexual harassment, and if your workplace organization doesn't have a provision for a HR or a proper channel where you could report this, you could go report to someone, a top officer of your organization, or you go straight to the police, or you come to LJE and report.
Right.
And you be rest assured that justice will be served.
Right. Yeah. Now, Ms. Munirat, another major issue is retaliation. We've heard stories of victims being dismissed or blacklisted for speaking up. Now, Ms. Munirat, how well are victims and whistleblowers protected from such backlash under Nigerian law, especially in sensitive sectors like academia or entertainment?
So far, so good. There have been reports of cases where victim has gotten justice, right? But however, if you compare the margin, we still have a lot of victims that have suffered retaliation. You know, practical examples, just that we are on a show, Justice Last Hangout, where we have to bring every fact
right,
that are correct and well proven. However, there are cases,
right,
cases that victims have really, really suffered retaliation, and whistleblowers have really gone down the drain because they spoke up or they bear witness or something. Because usually these people who harasses the victims are actually people who are more richer, or who are bigger, or who are more well placed in the society,
right,
more than the victims, right? So sometimes it's very, very difficult for these victims not to suffer retaliation,
right,
when they speak out. You know, you are saying speak out, speak out, speak out. It's not as easy as that.
Of course,
so these
it's not.
victims suffer it in three ways. One, their dignity for themselves. Two, retaliation
Right.
from the oppressor. And
yes.
thirdly, judgment from the society. So speaking up might not be so easy for them. But however, this is why we have shows like this, to let the audience know that people have gotten justice.
Right.
Not one, not 100, not 500.
Right.
Many persons have gotten justice. One thing it takes, and most importantly from this question you asked about this retaliation, is that victims should be courageous,
right,
and resolute enough to stand
speak
for
up.
themselves,
Right.
not just speak up alone, but to stand for themselves when they speak up. Because really, that retaliation is one of the hardest things that hit victims when they speak up or when they report.
Right.
You see that somebody, e.g. their boss, both male and female.
Right.
Male also suffers this. You see them issues one way or the other,
Right.
demotion, stacking, or even your society judging you. Why can't you just let things
Just
go?
let it go.
It's not
What-
that
what
serious.
was that?
He was
It's
just
not that-
joking.
it's not that
that
deep.
was not his intention.
It's not that
And
deep.
things like that. Yes.
Yeah.
So victims, one of the swiftest solution is to be resolute. Resolute means stick your foot to the ground and put your mind that if I'm going to get justice, then I'm going to go through all the hurdles and jump through all the obstacles. But the truth is that take succor from the fact that indeed many have gotten justice,
Yes.
though not as much as so many that have not. But then there's hope,
Yes.
and there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Thank you so much. Juliet, I don't know if you have anything to say to that, if you have anything to add.
She has said everything. Victims
Yeah.
should be brave,
Of course.
be courageous,
To speak up,
to
yes,
speak up,
yes.
and I believe we'll be able to curb, if not all, but the number of sexual harassment cases.
Right. So Juliet, how does Nigeria approach? Let's take a quick comparative view. Now, in countries like South Africa, and the UK. Sexual harassment policies are mandatory for employers, like you mentioned, and there are dedicated tribunals for redress. Now, how does Nigeria's approach compare? What lessons can we borrow from those systems?
Okay. Considering, I would say that considering the way our legal system works, where we have criminal code, we have penal code, and there's also the criminal code law of Lagos State, 2011. So we find out that we have a lot of laws applicable in different jurisdictions, unlike you have in the Europe or South Africa,
where they have a unified law.
They have unified laws.
Yes.
Right? But here you have some jurisdictions having stiffer penalties for offenders. And then you have some jurisdictions having I'll just call it, you're just giving them a pat in the back.
Of course.
On the back. So I would say that Nigeria should harmonize our law against sexual harassment so that we have one unified punishment for offenders and not having different laws applicable in different jurisdictions, because that's what we have in developed countries.
Right. Thank you so much. Now, lastly, Ms. Munirat, now beyond legislations, what practical steps can employers and professional bodies take to make workplaces safer? And could we, for instance, make anti-harassment training compulsory, set up anonymous reporting channels, or even strengthen the HR accountability? Because I know you mentioned something about strengthening the HR accountability.
I think you have mentioned it all in your questions. Of course, that sexual harassment policy should be implemented, very importantly, and HR, and in case of offices that do not have HR, whatever administrative person is in charge of the organization should also take note of this. And like I said, while I appreciate the fact that we are bordering on workplace sexual harassment, I would like to generalize it as of who is listening, that apart from the workplace, any other place, in school, at home, in public places, because yes, they sexually harass people in public places, yes. In the market, in your house, your neighbor, your boss, your whoever, NYC camp, wherever you find yourself, and someone sexually harass you, or people in charge of all the spaces I've mentioned, e.g., maybe the caretaker, as simple as a caretaker of your compound, the HR of a company, those in charge of NYC camp, I might not remember their office name, government parastatals, private companies. These sexual harassment laws should be kept in place, 1, and 2, when reports are made to them, practically, they should investigate. And then I'm talking to maybe the next average person that's next to you. Please do not judge when you hear the sexual harassment, especially from a male or a female. It doesn't matter. When someone says something uncomfortable have happened, before you judge that is the lie, you should please investigate and get the truth. And now beyond the company, bring this policy, like Juliet said, this policy that I was saying, and HR taking these policies and report, and then e.g., maybe bank, for example, could say they have an anonymous box or email or something where someone can submit harassment anonymously, just in case they are scared to come out. And same with every other, I'm just using bank as an example, same as other harassment, same as other organization where victims of harassment might be. Now, I need to mention this before we go. Once you sense harassment happening, because you ask how, just beyond what HR would do, I need to tell steps to the victims too. Beyond that, you as a victim, steps you should take to protect yourself. 1, be very sure to be, once you sense, because it happens, it starts, right? It starts in 1 day, right? Or in 1 second, in 1 minute, you notice it. Once you notice it, you should learn to be 2 steps ahead of your oppressor. 1, text messages are important. gather text messages,
document everything,
whether direct or indirectly.
Of course.
Document every step as it goes. If you can document, if you can record on your phone, anything. Save text messages as things are happening, whether your witness was there when he said it or not, be saying it.
Right.
Because it will all come well. And then just in case, even goes beyond harassment and goes to the actual act, make sure, very importantly, you don't go bait yourself or straight to any medical center that you can find yourself. Most importantly, please, Barrister Juliet, it's been so difficult over the years to prove harassment, to prove rape and the rest. It has been so difficult. Even the male gender also, they have been suffering in this masculinity, that this man is masculine. How can a woman harass him and all that? Please, first of all, finally, if I go, society should learn not to judge victims, and victims should be learn to also protect yourself by being two-step. Text messages, make sure that you have witnesses, make sure conversations, if possible, recorded. If not, as you are leaving another party, very trusted party, is a witness to, oh, this is what this person said, this was. Let there be patterns, show patterns. So when it's time to prove your case, it will be easier for you. Some people like, I don't want trouble until it escalates. Thank you very much, Zara.
Right. Thank you so much. I would like to add something about public awareness. To round up, I also believe that to raise public awareness, lawyers, civil society, and the media most especially must work all together through consistent public education, legal clinics, and responsible media coverages that encourage victims to speak up. Because when people feel safe and informed, silence begins to break. Thank you so much, Juliet and Munirat, for being here once again. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all our viewers. Sexual harassment in the workplace is not a woman's issue. It's a justice issue, a workplace integrity issue, and human rights issue. Until workplaces become truly safe for all, our legal and institutional work remains unfinished. Now join us next time on Justice, and follow us on all social media handles as LJE Nigeria. And until then, bye.